Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's tutorial I'll show you how to crochet this filet crochet raglan top. I hope you will enjoy this, and if you do, don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, and let's get into it. And to make this top you will need lace weight cotton yarn, 2mm crochet hook, scissors, needle, and 4 stitch markers. And you will also need these dome-shaped buttons. I will be using 12 of them, but I would suggest getting them after you finished your top just to know how many you would need. And then along with that, you will need a sewing thread with sewing needle. Now, before you begin, you will need to do a gauge swatch of doing double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and repeat to understand how many stitches you will need around your color. So basically, this is a raglan type top which is worked top to bottom, and to begin you will need to kind of figure out how many stitches you will need around your collar for it not to be too tight but not too loose as well, so it nicely fits around your neck. This top will be finished off by adding buttons. It will button up on the back, so don't worry about the neck being too tight because it's not going to be worked in rounds, and you don't have to fit your head through it because it's going to button up. Hopefully this makes sense. Now once you have figured your gauge, let me just show you a visual of the top so that you can get an understanding what we will be doing. So basically, imagine that this is my chain. My work starts here and it will end here. So basically this is the back panel, and it's not joined because there will be buttons on here. So I'm gonna be starting with half of my back. I'll do my sleeve, I'll do my front, I'll do my other sleeve, and then I'll finish with the other back piece. And it will at the end be joined by the buttons, if that makes any sense. So your front and your back panels will be identical, the same as your both sleeves, but the back is split in half, and that's why I have 12 squares for both panels for my back to make up and be like the front. Now each square is made of double crochet and then chain. So that would be your one square, and then you would do another square, and this is basically how you build on your squares. So basically what each square means to me, that 12 squares would be 24 chains, and if I count all of the squares that I have laid out for my top, it would mean I have 76 boxes. So 76 boxes times 2, because each is 2 stitches or 2 chains, and that is 152. On top of my 152 chains, I will be adding 1, which will make 153. So this is how I get my total number of chains that I will need to begin with. And there's that. So this is gonna be my chain, and I apologize if that doesn't make any sense. Hopefully once I do start my first row, it all comes together and you can kind of understand. After you did your gauge, you should figure out how many stitches you need. You want to round that number to multiples of 2, to the nearest one, either up or down, and add 1 on top of that. So that number is 153 for me. It might be completely different for you, but make sure that that number is multiples of 2 plus 1. And ideally you want your number of squares to be even numbers so that you can kind of nicely spread them across. Now once you have your number of chains that you need, you will need to decide how many you need for the front and back and how many you need for both sleeves. Now how to decide how many you want for your back and your sleeves, what I like to do is basically for my back and front, they are alike. I like to put 33% for each of my total chain count, and then for my both sleeves, and I now have 33% of that 100 left, which I like to split between the sleeves. So both of my sleeves take half of that 33%. And now if I have 76 squares in total, or 152 stitches, basically I'm gonna do it by squares. So I have 76 squares in total. If I divide that by 3, which is basically almost 33%. This equals to 25, and I have 24 squares. This is just because if I would have 25 squares, I couldn't split them into my back panel halves. So I chose to do 24. And now to see how much I have for my sleeves, I basically just take off the 24 times 2 for my front and back panels. I get 28 and I just split it in half, which is 14 each. So this is how I got my numbers, but basically your front and back takes up about 1/3 of the total chain count. They both are equal, and same for the sleeves. So yeah, this is how I calculate how many stitches or squares I will need for my front, back, and both of the sleeves. This is what it turns out to be. I hope this makes sense. If not, you can always message me and I'll do my best to explain it. Now to start, you're gonna grab your yarn, make a slip knot, put your hook in, tighten it up, and I'm gonna be chaining 153, but it might be different for you. To chain, you want to yarn over and pull it through the loop on your hook. That's 1. Yarn over, pull it through. 2, 3, 4, and so on. And I now have 153 chains. So that's my 153 chains. Now to start the row, I need to chain either 2 or 3. I like to chain 2. If you prefer to chain 3, that's completely fine. Chain 3. I'm gonna chain 2. And I'm gonna skip these 2, which doesn't count as a stitch at all. So if you did chain 3, skip 3. But yeah, I'm gonna skip my 2 chains that I just chained on top of that 153. This is not going to be a stitch. This is just to make it easier to make the first double crochet. I'm gonna yarn over and go into the 3rd stitch. If you chained 3, you're gonna go into the 4th. But yeah, go ahead, make your first double crochet. And from here, you're gonna chain 1, skip 1, do double crochet, and repeat until you complete the number of squares you need for half of your back panel, which is 12 for me. But yeah, you're gonna chain 1, skip 1, and go into the next with a double crochet. This is how it will start to look like. You'll see those squares building on. Now I'm gonna repeat this until I have 12 squares, and I'll show you what to do next. And I now have 12 squares. I finished on a chain by basically just chaining 1, because if I would do another double crochet, that would already count as beginning of a new square. So when you work on the right side, it's always gonna be double crochet, chain 1 as your square. So if I come from the start, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and this is my 12th one, which is gonna be finished by a new set of double crochet, chain 1 basically. So that's gonna be the start of my work, and this is gonna be half of my back panel. In between all of those sections, so your back, sleeve, front, another sleeve, and so on, you will always be making your corner. And to make a corner, after you chained 1, you're gonna skip 1 and into the next chain. You're gonna do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So 3 double crochets with the chain in between. So I chained 1, I'm skipping 1, and I'm going into the next one with double crochet. Again, chain 1, double crochet in that same chain. Chain 1 and 1 more double crochet in that same chain. So all of these 3 double crochets go into the same chain. And this is how you will be doing your corner. We will be marking those with a stitch marker. So grab your stitch marker and mark the middle double crochet out of these 3. If you don't want to mark them, that's fine, because you can easily see that, but if you are a beginner, I would suggest to mark the middle double crochet. Now next comes in my sleeve, which is 14 squares for me, but it might be different for you, but it's pretty much the same thing. Now once you finished your corner, you're gonna chain one, you're gonna skip one and do double crochet in the next one. Chain one, again skip one, do double crochet in the next, and repeat until you have your squares for the sleeve. I'm gonna do 14 in total, and I'm gonna be ending on chain one, not the double crochet. And that is 14 boxes counting from this one. So these 3 double crochets don't count, and you count from them only. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13, and this is going to be my 14th one. I already chained one, so I'm gonna skip one and I'm gonna go into the next one doing double crochet, chain one, double crochet, chain one, double crochet, all in one space. So that's one double crochet, chain one, another double crochet, chain one, and last double crochet in that same chain. Again, you're gonna grab your stitch marker, mark the middle double crochet, and that's your one sleeve done. Now for the front panel, I'm gonna be doing 24 squares, but you can do whatever you chose to do. And to do that, you're chaining one, skipping one, doing double crochet. So I'm just gonna continue until I have 24 squares, and I will meet you then. And I have my 24 squares, so I chained one. Now for the corner, I'm gonna skip one and go into the next one with, you already know, double crochet, chain one, double crochet, chain one, double crochet. I'm gonna again mark the middle double crochet out of the 3, and that's my front panel done. So I'm gonna do the sleeve again, which is 14 squares for me. I'm gonna chain one, skip one, do double crochet, chain one, skip one, do double crochet, and so on until I have 14 squares. And I've got my 14 squares. I finished on a chain one. So for my corner, I'm gonna skip one and go into the next, doing double crochet, chain one, double crochet, chain one, and one more double crochet in that same space. So that's your corner, and this is the last one. So let me just put the stitch marker into the middle, double crochet, and now I left off to finish my back panel, so half of the back panel, and it's 12 squares for me, but I'm gonna leave the last box filled in so that I can put my buttons in. But let me just go in with my squares till the end and I'll show you what I mean. I'm now at the end. I just did my double crochet, and instead of doing chain one double crochet to finish up the last box, I'm gonna do 2 double crochets. So without chaining or anything, do double crochets in the last 2 chains, and this is gonna complete my box. So when I do finish the top and I have 3 double crochets here, it's gonna have like this thin strip that I can put my top buttons in. So this is what I'm working with. As you can see, I've started off by doing half my back, my sleeve, my front, another sleeve, and another half of my back. This is where it's gonna be joined with the buttons, at the very end, but this part now should fit around your neck nicely, not being too loose, not being too tight. And kind of from here, we're gonna be increasing where you have your stitch markers, and by doing those increases, you will always increase one square on this side, one square on this, and same with the rest. So by doing one increased round, one side, for example, the front increases by 2 squares, one on this side, one on this side. And those increases that we are doing, which is double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, makes it squared. So this is how you build on raglan, making this mesh part. Now just to show you this one more time, I'm going to show you how to do another round, but pretty much you are always going to do double crochet on top of double crochet, chain above the chain, and you are always skipping the chain. And where you have your stitch marker, you will always do double crochet, chain, double crochet, chain, double crochet. But I'm going to show you this anyway. Now this is where I finished off. To begin next round, I'm gonna chain 2, but you can chain 3 if you want to. And this chain does not count as a stitch, so I'm gonna start by doing double crochet in the first double crochet of my row. And then I'm gonna do 2 double crochets in the next 2, because this is what I chose to do for the part that I'm gonna be adding buttons. And from here, it's gonna be the mesh part. So chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and so on. You will never be placing double crochet above the chain or chain above the double crochet, so you always want that to line up. So I just chained, I'm gonna skip the chain and go into the double crochet with a double. And I'm gonna continue this until I come to my first stitch marker. I am now almost to my stitch marker. I'm just gonna take it out. As you can see, I did double crochet above the first out of these 3. I'm gonna chain 1, and into this middle one, I'm gonna repeat the same thing I have before. So in this double crochet, I'm gonna make 3 double crochets with chain in between. That's 1 and chain, another 1 and chain, and then the last one. So that's another set of increases done. As you can see, you can put back the stitch marker, which I normally don't do because I can clearly see those 3 stitches, but if you are a beginner, I would just recommend doing the stitch marker so that you don't miss any increases or anything like that. From here, you're again gonna chain 1 and continue doing double crochet, chain 1 until your next stitch marker. When you are at your next stitch marker, take it out. I finished with double crochet, so I'm gonna chain 1, and in this middle double, I'm gonna do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. I'm gonna put back my stitch marker to mark the middle double crochet, and I'm gonna continue with the mesh part until my next stitch marker. So hopefully this makes sense. You should get the hang of it by now, but I'm gonna complete this row together with you until the end. So just let me do my mesh part till my next stitch marker. Now I'm just gonna take my next stitch marker, chain 1, and do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet in that same 1 stitch. I'm gonna put back my stitch marker, And again, I'm gonna continue with my mesh part. So chain 1, double crochet in the next, chain 1, double crochet, and so on. Now for the very last time of this round, in that middle double crochet, after chaining 1, you're gonna do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet. Put back your stitch marker in to mark the middle, and finish off by doing chain, double crochet, and repeat. So chain 1, double crochet, chain, double crochet, and so on. I'm just gonna do my last double crochet of this round into a double crochet, like so. That chain 2 does not count, so I'm ignoring it. And again, I'm gonna chain 2 to start my next round. I'm gonna turn my work, and I'm gonna repeat this same round all over again until this becomes big enough for my bust. So basically this is what you're gonna do until you come to the underarm area, or around your bust basically, but I'm gonna show you that later on. Now I'm gonna continue with this same row until I want my design, the motive, to come in. So do as many rows as you want before you want to start your graph pattern, and I'll show you how to do that as well. And I now have my 4 rows done. So on the 5th one, I'm gonna start my design, and this can be any number of rows you want. You can pretty much start anywhere. You will now need to count your front number of squares for your current row, and for both back pieces, add 2 on top of the front and 1 for each back piece, and have that square number in mind because you will need this in order to start drawing out the graph. So basically I have 32 squares for my 4th row. I'm gonna draw 34 for my front, and I'm gonna create a graph adding a square on each side, just to kind of visualize my front and my back pieces. When you do count your squares, I have 32 for my front and 16 for the back, but just because the next row, which will be the filled, will add on 2 extra boxes for each part, so 2 for the front and 1 for the back each, you want to do +2 and +1 for the back panels for your next round of filet crochet. So count your squares for the front, add 2 on top of that, and count the squares for the back and add 1 for each extra to begin your design. I'm just kind of tracing out my front panel. So here's the neck part, and it's gonna increase, and then at some point it's gonna stop increasing and it's just gonna be straight. So what you will need to do is start by empty squares for your front and just draw some stairs where you think it's gonna end. You can measure your rows, see how many you need for the underarm area, and draw that. And then for both the back pieces, I did the same. I left my squares, and then I basically drew the pink, which is my sleeves, but I'm not gonna do any pattern or motives for the sleeves. That's why they are pink. And same with this other panel, it's exactly the same, but this one has the green line, which shows this side here. So where I have the end of my work, last square filled in, this is what it shows. So basically this is just the filled in square, and it will also help me to see what row I'm on and where the graph starts. These blue lines are non-existent as well. I've just left some allowance in case I need to readjust later on. But yeah, if you cut out these blue lines, you have your front, you have both of your back panels, and you have your sleeves. When I do start my row, it's gonna start from here because I ended my row on a mesh part. So my 5th row will start here. For the first panel of the back, it's gonna be the mesh part. For the sleeve, it's always gonna be the mesh part. And then the first 2 squares of my front will be filled in. That means instead of doing double crochet chain 1, I'm gonna be doing 2 double crochets for each square. And then I'm gonna continue with the empty boxes, so doing double crochet chain. My sleeve again is gonna be the mesh. And my back for this row is also mesh part, apart from the last square, which is always filled. When I finish that row, I'm gonna go to my 6th row, which is second from the top, and I'm gonna go filling in the first box, doing mesh for the sleeve. I'm gonna do mesh part until I come to these 2 squares, and so on. And I'm just gonna follow row after row in this way. So basically my odd numbers will start from this side, my even numbers will start from this side, but I can always just look at these stitches. If I'm starting with filled box, I'm looking from this side. So hopefully this makes sense. For the motifs itself, I just drew some flowers and some branches with random stuff, and hopefully this works out. You can always go to Pinterest, see what you like, and kind of try to trace it out, or just do your own design. But this is basically what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna show you probably 2 rows, but from there you will need to follow it according to your design, and always making increases until your top becomes big enough to fit your bust and your arms. But I'm gonna show this when I come to it, so for now I'm just gonna follow the pattern until the top becomes big enough. But before that, I'm gonna show you how to follow a grid. And what I like on the stitch fiddle is that you can track your progress. So instead of first row, I'm gonna go to my last one, which is right here, and I'm just gonna move it down with every single row, like so. So I'm on this row, and I know that I need to make mesh boxes until I come to the front, so this is what I'm gonna do. So this is my back, this is my sleeve, and I will come to this stitch marker before I make any filled in boxes. So as always, to start the row, I'm gonna chain 2, turn my work, and I'm gonna start with double crochet in that same stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, do double crochet, and repeat. Now I just finished my back portion, and just to remind you, I'm gonna show you the increased part again. So I chained 1, and I'm gonna go into this middle double crochet that I just took the stitch marker out, and I'm gonna make 3 double crochets with the chain in between. So that's 1 and chain, another 1 and the chain, and last one into that same stitch. So don't forget, you are doing this throughout your rows, and we will stop doing this when it becomes big enough. So let me just continue with my mesh until I come to this part, and I'll show you how I do the filled in grids. I'm now at the part where I will be increasing. There's gonna be a slight difference, just because when you do make your increase, this on the side becomes your new square, as well as this. So this very first square is gonna be my first filled in, because I have 2 of them here. So basically, after chaining 1, I'm gonna go into that middle double crochet, make my first double, chain 1. So this is the square that's gonna remain on the sleeve part. Then I'm gonna make another double crochet, and instead of doing chain double crochet, I'm gonna make 2 double crochets to fill in my first square. I'm gonna mark the middle double crochet, and the next square, which is here, is gonna be double crochet and double crochet. So instead of doing chain, I'm doing double crochet in the chain 1 space, and double crochet into a double crochet, like so. And I just finished my 5th row. Now the next one is going to be the second from the top, and I know that I'm going to be looking from this side to the left because I have this filled in box which is represented by this green, and I would really suggest doing this because you don't have to think if you are on your even row, if you are on your odd, which side to look from. This green here just shows me that I should be looking from this side, and this is what I'm gonna do now. So basically I'm gonna be filling in this part and this one here. The first half of my back panel doesn't have any, so I'm gonna do mesh part. I'm gonna do mesh part for my sleeve. Again, this blue does not exist. If you just remove it, it would be your top, but I want this line to be kind of separating it so that I don't get confused between the different motifs for the back and for the front. Let me just do the back and sleeve mesh part, and I'm gonna come back again here. And I'm now at my front panel, so I just finished my increase, and now I'm gonna continue doing mesh boxes until I have 12 in total, and this is where my filled boxes will come in. So I'm gonna do that. And I now have 12. You always want to count from the stitch marker, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That's 12 boxes. Now I have 2 boxes that are filled in, so instead of chain 1, I'm gonna go do double crochet, again double crochet, and 1 more double crochet. So that's my 2 filled in boxes. Then I'm gonna continue with the mesh part, so double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and so on. Now I'm gonna make 13 squares, and then I'll do this filled in part. And I now have 13 boxes from the last filled in piece, which is here. Now I'm gonna do 5 filled in boxes, all consisting of 2 double crochets. And that is 5 filled in boxes. Then I'm gonna do 2 mesh boxes, do mesh for the sleeves, and I will have 1 filled square for the back panel. So let me just do my mesh until I come to the back, and I'll show you this one more time. And I am now on my back part, so I'm gonna make 5 empty boxes before I do filled in. After 5 empty boxes, I'm gonna do filled in 1, so double crochet instead of a chain. And I'm gonna finish off the rest by doing mesh. So chain 1, double crochet. And that is done. So I'm gonna now chain 2, turn my work, also move down a row, and I'm gonna be following from here because it is empty square. So I'm gonna go all the way from here, and I'm gonna be repeating the same thing over and over again, but it's gonna become much easier because instead of counting your squares like you do for the first couple of rows, you're gonna start to see a pattern, and you can always just, instead of counting, you can just go look at the squares and their placement and kind of go off by what you did before. So for example, I'm on this row now, I come all the way down from here, and I already did 2 filled in boxes before. For these boxes, I'm gonna do 2 more and plus 1, so I don't have to actually count. I can just see by what I did previously, if that makes any sense. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep on doing the pattern until I come to the part where it's big enough, and I need to cut off the sleeves, basically finish them off, and only do the front and back panels, and they will become one once I do complete the sleeves, but I'm gonna show you this anyway. Now I'm just gonna continue with my filet crochet part, and I have now finished doing my increases. This is how it looks. This is obviously the back, but if I do fold it on increases, I have my sleeves, my back, my front on the other side, and my other sleeve. Now this is where the increases will stop, and from here we will basically stop the sleeves, so these won't be worked anymore. And before that, you want to put it on, have someone to hold this in the back, and pinch these parts for just under the sleeve, under your armpit, to see if it fits. Now for the bust, we will be adding a couple of stitches, so don't worry if it's slightly too tight, because we will add a couple of squares in these underarms. And I did 23 rows and it actually ended here, so I didn't need to adjust anything. It just fitted me straight away after doing these, because I did rough calculations, but just in case you need to adjust it, you can always build on a bit more rows or eliminate these. And because I don't have any motifs close to the edges, it is easy to adjust. So yeah, this is what I did, and now I'm just gonna go to my next row and I'm gonna complete the back until I come to the stitch marker. So I'm just gonna chain 2 and work as normal until I come to my first stitch marker. Now I am at my first stitch marker. This is where my sleeve starts. I'm gonna take out that stitch marker, and after chaining 1, I'm gonna go into that middle double crochet and make double crochet, like so. Now, just because you don't want your sleeve to be connected like this and be this kind of droplet shape, because you need some allowance for the underarm. So for the underarm, I'm gonna be doing 4 squares, and it can be any number, just whatever you feel is going to fit you best, because this would be a bit too tight and it would be uncomfortable to wear as a sleeve. So basically you need some stitches for the underarm area. I hope this makes sense. I'm gonna do 4 squares, and just because it starts with double crochet and it will end with double crochet here, you want to chain any odd number so that it basically meets in the pattern. I'm gonna be chaining 7, and that's gonna be 4 squares, and ideally you want the number of squares to be even so that it kind of is the same for the front and the back as well. But once I did my double crochet, I'm gonna chain 7, that's gonna be the length for my underarm. And now I'm gonna take out the stitch marker out of this middle stitch, skipping all of these stitches for the sleeve, and going into the middle double crochet with a double crochet. Make sure it's a bit tighter, like so. I'll have my back and front joined like this. It's a bit difficult to show, but from here I'm only going to be working on the back and the front. Now I'm going to work my front piece until I come to the stitch marker, and I'm pretty much gonna do the same thing here, but let me just work on the front and I'll show you this again. And I'm now where my stitch marker is and where my sleeve starts, because I just finished working the front. And basically, just to show you one more time, you're gonna go into this double crochet that is in the middle where you had your stitch marker, and you're gonna make a double crochet like so. Then we're going to skip all of these stitches, and you will need to chain the same amount you did for your first sleeve. It is 7 for me. Like so. You're gonna take out this other stitch marker, and you're gonna go into this middle double crochet with a double crochet. There. And I forgot to mention, but from here you're not doing increases anymore, so for this middle one you are only making 1 double crochet, then chain 1, skip your chain and go into the next one to make double crochet. So as you can see, no more increases, you are just working double crochet, chain 1, and filling in your boxes. So I'm gonna finish this other half of my back working in pattern, and I'll show you the next row as well and how to work into the chain. And I'm done with this row, so I'm just gonna chain 2, turn my work. I'm gonna work my back panel until I come to this chain to show you what to do, but it's pretty simple. You're gonna just repeat the same pattern to create those squares. But yeah, let me just finish that and I'll show you what to do in that chain space you did underarm. And I'm now nearly where my chain is, so I'm just gonna chain 1, do my last double crochet before that chain 7. And basically it might be a bit twisted, so you will need to untwist it towards you like this. And once you did your double crochet, you're gonna chain 1, skip 1 chain and go into the next one to do double crochet. Again, chain 1, skip 1, go into the next, chain 1, skip 1, go into the next. And there's my last chain, for which I'm gonna chain, and then I'm gonna double crochet into the first double crochet after my chain 7. And just like this, I have created 4 squares. So if I only look from here and here, that's 4 squares, but it can be pretty much any number. And that's how the sleeve will look. So you will have some allowance for the underarm, and it's gonna look way better than if you were just to join it together. Now I'm just gonna continue working on my front. I'm gonna do the same thing in here. For this chain 7, I'm gonna finish my back and I will come back then. And I'm again where my chain is, so just to show you one more time, I just did my last double crochet for the front. I'm gonna chain 1, skip 1, and go into the second one with a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, go into second one with double crochet, again chain 1, skip 1, go into the next, chain 1, and lastly do double crochet into the first for your back panel. That's again 4 squares. And now I'm just gonna finish off my back piece. And now you're just gonna repeat going all around, following your pattern and doing the motif, so filled in boxes. But this is how it pretty much will look like. And at this point you can try it on and see if it's big enough, if it's not too tight, if it sits okay, and so on. This fits me, so I'm gonna continue with my rows, going all around, making double crochet, chain 1, and so on, and filling in the boxes that I have to fill in. But yeah, from here, I'm gonna leave you to it. You're gonna build on the length, whether you want this cropped or longer or just regular length, etc. I'm gonna do mine and I will see you on how to finish everything up. Now, just another thing, I'm just gonna go to the edit. Basically, these blue parts here from the pink have just became my actual squares. Before that, this was blank and it was just kind of separating my back from the front. So this has actually became my underarm area. Same for the other one, and I could just fill it in white, but I'm gonna know that it's my 4 squares and I prefer those blue ones to kind of separate my work so I know where I'm at. But yeah, it's up to you. You can fill them in or leave it like this. Just bear in mind that this is now your stitches. And I finished doing the length of my top. I ended up adding 5 extra rows on top of my graph that I did have, but I didn't do any motif, so it was just a mesh part, just to make it longer to my preferred length of the top. And in total I have 58 rows since the start here. Now I finished on the side where it ends with empty box, so not on the side where I have 3 double crochets, and I'm not going to finish it off because I will be adding buttonholes. If you have finished on this side and you don't want to do that row to end on this side, just finish off and you will be able to rejoin it later. But for now, I'm gonna do buttons. So I'm just gonna pull up a longer loop so I don't lose my work, and I will come back to it later when I have my buttons. And now what you will need to do is you will decide how many buttons you need, and you will need to spread them evenly across this whole length, so from the top down to the bottom. And I would recommend having 1 button each at the end and at the start, so that your top isn't flapping, basically, so that you can join it from the very top down to the bottom. Like I said, I have 12 buttons and I added stitch markers to mark where each one of them will be, and I'm gonna be doing them one at a time using the same sewing thread for each one of them until I run out. So I'm basically gonna sew one, I'm gonna move my thread down to the next stitch marker, and I'm gonna sew the next. So let me just show you this. I'm gonna take out my first stitch marker, and first I'm gonna just join my thread. So I'm gonna go from the back, I'm gonna go down a bit and to the back from the front, and just before I pull it through, I'm gonna go in the middle of those 2 threads because I need to secure that thread to my work. Now once that's done, I'm gonna go to the front again, and I'm aiming for that middle double crochet, and this is where I'll start sewing the button in. So you just simply go through the buttonhole, and then you go back into your work like this, going to the back. And you will be repeating this, so going from the back to the front, through the buttonhole, if I can find it, there we go. And then back again into the work from right to wrong side. And you will need to repeat this a couple of times. I think I'm gonna do 6-7 times, going through the buttonhole just to make sure that it's there and it's secure. So from the back, you can go into the buttonhole straight away, pull your thread, and go to the back. And one is done. It does feel like it's pretty secure, so now I'm gonna go for the next one. I'm gonna ignore these tails for now, and I'm just basically gonna weave my needle down to the next stitch marker, trying to do that with no showing on the right side. And this is simply so that I don't have to hide many tails and rejoin my yarn. But yet to do that, I'm just gonna go like this through some loops, not going all the way to the other side, and just basically doing it on a surface level. And now that I'm here, I'm gonna take out the stitch marker. I'm gonna put my needle into that middle double crochet and go to the right side. Grab my next button and do the same thing all over again. And then once I'm done with this one, I'm gonna move my way down, do another button, and so on until I come to the very bottom. So I'm gonna do that. Now, once you're done sewing them all, you will need to secure this end of your thread. Finish on the wrong side, and before you go in to hide it, just make a couple of knots. I like to use a needle and bring that knot closer to the end. I'm gonna do another one. Like so, and now I'm just gonna sew it in on the wrong side, pretty much where I have that button, so it's not gonna show. Like so, and I'm gonna be doing this a few times to make sure that tail is secure. I'm gonna cut it off. And I'm also gonna do the same with any other tail. So I had to rejoin my thread one more time because it wasn't enough. So I did 7 buttons with that first thread and then remaining 5 with another one. So I'm gonna hide all of these as well in the same way I just showed you. Now, once you have hidden all of the threads and you have all your buttons, we will now be crocheting along this other side and we will be creating loops for these buttons. So now, depending how much space you left between each button, you will need to single crochet, if that makes sense. Then we will do a chain and then sew on. So basically we will be creating buttonholes out of chains so they can go over the button, but let me just show you. So the very beginning of mine starts with a button and I'm gonna be doing a chain to create a buttonhole. So I'm gonna try to do chain of 3. I'm then gonna go into the middle of these 2 rows to do a single crochet. I'm gonna make a big loop and I'm just gonna double check if I can fit that button in. Okay, so it does seem to be fitting. I don't want to make them too big or too loose, so you kind of have to go ahead and try it. I'm now gonna single crochet for the 5 rows to cover for this part here, and then I'm gonna make another one. So that's one done. I'm gonna now continue single crocheting along this edge. Now this is where my second button would be. So I'm gonna again chain 3 and I'm gonna do a single crochet to make that loop. Let me just single crochet a couple and I will try this on one more time. So that's my buttonhole, which is not very visible at all, but it does fit. And you ideally want that to be kind of tight to keep it in place. So I'm just gonna repeat this thing of doing single crochets along the border, and then when I come to the button, I'm gonna be chaining 3. So you can always just grab your work, align it, and make sure that you are making the right spot for your buttons. So I'm currently here. Here's my one buttonhole, the other one, and I still need to crochet for 1 more row, and then I will be placing my next buttonhole. Keep doing this until you come to the end, and I'm almost at the end. I'm just single crocheting till I need to place my last buttonhole, which is at the very end here. I'm gonna chain 3, do single crochet, chain 1, see if that fits and aligns with the rest, and I kept buttoning them up as I went just to make sure that everything aligns, and it kind of was a bit easier than having to match everything up with the rest. Now if you're happy how it looks, you can cut off your yarn, leaving a bit so we can hide it in. Grab a needle so that you can hide the tail in. Go to your wrong side, and here I have double crochets filled in, so I'm just gonna try to make my way down to this part as it's gonna be easier to hide it in. But yeah, just basically I'm gonna try and kind of make my way going through those double crochets and chains. Just like that, I'm here where my double crochets are, and now I'm just gonna go into them and hide this tail in. And that's gonna be good enough because I already went a pretty long way to go to this double crochet part. I'm gonna cut it off. You will then need to hide any other tails you have. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you in my next one.